What's going on, Jordan? What's going on?
What's up, man?
Not much, man. For those that's just tuning in, man, my name is Joey, the creator of Joey Bags Recovery. I'm gonna let him explain himself, who he is.
This is Jordan the Realtor.
Jordan, the realtor. Hey, man, what's going on, brother? Um,
What's going on?
Glad to have you here. With that being said, man, I'll let you take the floor.
Yeah, man, I'm Jordan the Realtor. Been out in the capital region of New York for like this is like around 2018. Been out here, man, and yeah, no, I started this real estate career. And coming out, I was in the capital region. I'm not from here. I'm from downstate, Rockland County. So, I came up here. I didn't really know anybody, and I had to hustle, man. I had to hustle to get where I'm at right now. And Joey and I think we met through Greg Sheldon, right?
To Greg, yeah, Greg Sheldon, yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, a lot of community development work in the city of Albany, something that I did, and I was a part of, man. But here to just share a message, a little bit of hope to some people, come from
Um,
kind of a
I,
rough space. So,
so let me give you a little. Let me ask you a little something. So, how old are you right now?
sh- 31.
31. When does all this start happening? Before you guys listen, he wasn't always like this. He's an amazing guy. He's a great dude. He does a lot for himself in the community, and he has a great career. But before all this stuff happened to you, what do you had to go through to get here? All the drama, the stress, drug use, whatever it was. Can you explain from the beginning of your life, like what happened to get here? Because I want to let these people know that even though you're messed up, you can still get your life back together.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. So, I mean, listen, I grew up in a low income community, Section 8 housing, man, and with a single parent mom and grandma. And give me one sec.
That's all right. It's all right. Kids are kids, man.
That's my son right here, man. My
Yeah,
six year
isn't that a
old.
blessing? Isn't that a blessing, man?
It's a blessing,
That's
man. It's a
awesome, man.
blessing.
Yeah,
No, yeah.
definitely.
So I grew up, man. I grew up in, I was I'm Puerto Rican, man, but most people can't tell, man. So
Hey,
I
listen, man. I thought you was Cuban, bro.
a Cuban, man. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
miss the skin pigmentation, man. My no, but I grew up, man. I grew up, I was my mom's white, so I grew up in a single parent household. My dad died when I was 9, so you know, um, and I was like the only light skinned person from where I'm from, man. So like, needless to say, I had to, I grew up and I had to, I felt like I had something to prove all the time, man, all the time, just being tested in
Yeah.
school and, in my neighborhood. And yeah, man, I just idolized the wrong thing, as I get older and as I'm a father now, I've realized how important it is for a father to be in a child's life, man, and to be a dad. And so I, he comes over to me because he knows I'm busy, and he comes with the
Yeah.
Oreos, and he knows that I don't really mess with the Oreos too much, man. But he knows that. No, but like being a dad is such a blessing, and I take that role very seriously, man, because when I grew up, I didn't have that. I didn't have that person to kind of put me on and tell me, when I was out of line and, um, you know, teach me anything really. My dad died when I was 9, so I like as a man I didn't really know. So I grew up and like after my dad died, I just went, I was in the streets pretty hard. Um, I was around a
but
lot of the
that I
wrong
mean,
influences, man.
losing your dad, right? Losing your dad. What sparked you from after you losing your dad? Do you remember the day that I mean that what went through your head that day? Like made you want to go look for other influences since your dad passed? What happened?
Yeah, I think there was just a lack of just something missing. You know what I mean? There was just something missing, and my mom, God bless her, man. She tried her best, but she had her own stuff going on, and so I turned to the streets really hard at a young age. Um,
What age was that?
I probably like like 10 years old, 10 to 12 years old. I was running away from my house. I was on, I don't know if people know, I had a PINS petition, probation,
Yeah, I know
at a
that
real
is.
young age. And
Yeah.
yeah, man, I went on the run for a long time, man. I ran away with one of my friends, and we stayed in the Bronx. We stayed in City Island in the Bronx for like 3.5 months. And I put my mom through it. I was around 14 years old, man. I was just living on the street
Oh,
there, and it was rough, man. But I one thing I can always say though is that I was always really good with. I always had an entrepreneur spirit. When I was in first grade, man, I was hustling Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon cards. And yeah, and when I tell you, man, like there was just something in me that I was always really good at. I was always really good at like managing money and like learning ways to create money, because when I was growing up and I've really had nothing, we're living on food stamps, and I'm in Section 8 housing. My mom's going to the pantry to just feed us. And I always wanted more. There was something that I just always wanted more. And I always wanted to figure out how I could get it, because I was like the man of the house at that time, and
yeah.
I felt like I needed to like support my mom. And so, at a real young age, I learned how to, sell any, Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I was selling Pokemon cards. There's a street fair where I'm from, and I remember just taking like I don't know if you guys remember TV dinners, but they used to have like these
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
tables.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And
yeah,
there was these
yeah.
little TV stand dinners tables, and I used to bring it to the street fair, and I would sell candy and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I'm talking, I'm like 9 years old, and
Yeah.
so I always wanted to create ways to make money, and throughout my life, I was always actually I was really good at like I just had a natural entrepreneur spirit, man. And when I was a teenager and I didn't have that guidance, again, like, having a father there you know, is very important. Without that, the lifestyle of the streets became one of my biggest issues. And yeah, man, it took me to some places. Took me to some places that
I know. Just
not the
for
best.
just I know, I know what you're saying, but I know where you're trying, I know where you're getting at. But just for those that are in the struggle right now and they're dealing with some stuff, like what are the steps you had to do to get yourself out of that situation and get your life back on track?
Yeah, man. So I mean, really, it really just starts with mindset. I know it's very simple to say that, um, without going too in depth. I mean, I, I felt like such a victim, right? Because when I was 18 years old, I lost my mom. But right before that, one of my really close friends died from a heroin overdose when I was 16 in my bathroom, right?
Wow.
And so, and this was my best friend. Like we were, in the lifestyle together, and like that was my guy, and so after that, I just went on the deep end. I went off the deep end, and I just had such a victim mentality, right? So everything was everyone else's fault. It was never my fault. I never wanted to take a self accountability for anything at all. So pretty much it was, oh, the cops, they're arresting me. They don't know, what's
Yeah.
it's they don't know my circumstance, and it's everything's just a victim mentality. I take no accountability and blame for anything. And the day that I started taking accountability for my actions is the day my life changed. And that
Oh,
was
that's
that
deep.
was that was a mindset flip. And I at that time, bro, I was so broken. I already had my first child that I didn't have custody of. I didn't even have visitation, and I was about to have my second child. And so I was like, man, I looked, I turned to God, man, and I was in a really, really bad position in life. And I was just like, listen, I can't live like this anymore. I can't do it. Um, and I just felt like I needed to take self accountability for everything that was wrong in my life. And the minute that I did that, everything changed in my life.
That's funny you said that. I was in a conversation with somebody today, and I said the same thing, man. Up until now, man, like I've always screwed back up. I always did same thing over and over again. It was till I took accountability, man, for my actions, man, when my life changed. I've always heard you
Yeah,
gotta
man.
take accountability. You gotta take accountability, and I'm like, man, screw you. You don't know how you're talking about. When I took accountability and I for my action, everything I've done, my whole life changed immediately.
What's a
Immediately.
victim mindset, right? So like I kept on doing the same thing and expecting different results, right? And so like I would be like, oh, like they don't understand. Like I got, oh, I can't get a job. Why, I can't get a job. I'm from the, due to my circumstance, oh, my parents are dead. They have no idea. I don't have a parent to rely on or call or anything. And I took that accountability, man, and I said to myself that everything in my life is my fault, everything, the good and the bad. And I know it's very controversial, but Andrew
Yeah.
Tate says that a lot. And that was one thing that really resonated with me because you know I at that time when I had to make that mindset switch, it was like a paradigm shift, and it was something that was so impactful at that time where I was like, no matter what problems are going on and my life was in shambles, Joey. I was not,
I
even the way I speak, man.
understand.
It was a different, I was in a different place. And so now, I take everything that even the hard things that I do. I'm in real estate, man. It's one of the most saturated and competitive industries that you could possibly get into. If you hate anxiety and have anxiety attacks, this is not the industry for you. You know what I mean? It's like it's not a
Yeah,
good
yeah, yeah,
place to be, man.
yeah.
But all of those life experiences set me up to be able to be successful in real estate and the industry that I'm in.
I mean, you hit a couple points that I wanted to bring up, and one of them you just mentioned again was forgetting how you talked. How you talk. When I was going through my stuff, I didn't realize I didn't know how to talk anymore. I didn't realize I didn't even know how to laugh anymore until I started taking accountability and I got my life back together and I heard my first laugh and I laughed out loud. I'm like, oh shit, you're laughing. Like, you know what I mean? I'm
Yeah,
doing
man.
talking the way I used to. You know what I mean? Everything just came back to me after that little jungle, whatever I was going through. But yeah, man, like it was great hearing my voice again. You know what I mean? Getting my life back again. It was great. I'm glad you brought that up, man. That was very good.
You get to a point, man, where you just you don't want to feel emotions, right? And that was my biggest thing. And especially anyone that's really going through it and like you know I've been there. I've seen hell, man. And I mean the I often think to myself, of what the stuff that I've seen in my life and how I could describe hell. And hell wasn't like the fiery, scary place that I thought it was going to be. Hell was a place of instant gratification for me, and of a place that was just very. It was something that was so easy. Everything was so easy to obtain, but it wasn't sustainable. And as I started to come out of that, I've realized that a place of heaven would be of hard work. You work really hard for it because and then when you work really hard for it, you really really cherish it. Um, everything that I have now, I've worked so hard for that I don't want to lose it. And I think that that's why um, I have 6 years clean. Um, and I attribute
Let's go.
that to not wanting to be not being scared of relapsing, but just knowing that I can lose everything and like that. I could lose it so quickly, but
So fast, so quick.
how hard it is for you to actually gain it. I mean,
It's not worth
it's
it.
it
It's definitely not worth it.
none of it's worth it, dude. You know,
It's not worth it,
um,
bro.
and anybody that's going through it, man. The first thing is making a decision with myself. I had to make a decision with myself that no matter what comes in my way, I'm not going to resort, and I'm going to learn to be somebody different. Um, you talk about
But
learning how to speak, man. I was in the streets, man,
yeah,
and I now Greg, like our mutual friend Greg, he
I
he's
love
like
that
when I
guy.
first met you, bro, you were not talking this way. And
Awesome. Hey, I got a question to ask you. I got a question to ask you. You said 6 years, right? So what was it like? What's the hardest part like during the 6 years? The first 2 weeks, the first 3 weeks, the first 6 months when you was able to like know like yeah, I know it's not a safe zone. I don't believe in safe zones anymore. Since I got into a conversation with one of my friends, there's really no safe zones. But when you felt like comfortable that you was gonna be able to succeed, like do you remember that era where like he was like, I know the first day like oh shit, I might relapse, and the second day I might. But when you feel like okay, I'm past that level, that I can be cool right now. You remember those days?
yeah, I mean, the first couple days, first week, first month is rough, man. No matter, it's never going to be easy, because you're trying to, I attribute to this, right? Oftentimes when I speak, and I've only spoke at a couple of recovery centers, right? But I'll talk about myself and my past as a third person, right? And I'll get to a point. I'll say, "Hey, I grew up with this guy, and he was my best friend. I loved this guy, and this guy was me, right?" But I don't say that until the end. And what I'll say is, I wake up one day. I woke up one day, and I love this dude, and I looked at him in his eyes, and I was crying, and I had to kill him. And it was one of the hardest things that I could do, but because that person was stronger than the person that I was at that point. And every day that you have to wake up and you have to battle your old self and you win, you just become a little bit stronger and a little bit stronger and a little bit stronger. And then after a year, now you got a little bit of muscle on you and they're frail. And you're winning the battles easier and easier and easier. And then one day you wake up and you're like, damn, I'm not thinking about this stuff that I used to think about. I don't have those same urges that I do. Oh man, haven't even thought about this in the past month. That's crazy. It's
I love
possible.
it. Yes.
It's possible, man, and
Yes.
it does
Yeah.
happen, but it's not easy, and it takes a lot of hard work and dedication, and most people don't make it.
That's a fact. And that's why we're here today, because a lot of people don't make it, and we're hoping to reach out to these people that are still sick and suffering. And I believe it's going to happen. I believe it's going to happen, Jordan. I think there's something special going on within all of us. And it's, like I said, God puts people in places for certain things, right? And hopefully today this message is going to get out to someone and save someone's life. With that being said, man, I love that you came along. Matter of fact, I love that you called me first this morning and reminded me, because I mean my mind was all over the place. But Jordan, man,
You're all good,
I
dude.
love that you came along, and hope we have a part two
Appreciate
of
your
this.
time, man.
And listen, this is Jordan, the realtor, man. If you have any trying to buy a house, get out, my boy. Well, is there a place
Yeah,
they can
man.
reach you at?
Jordan dot the yeah. So it's sorry, it's Jordan dot the dot realtor. That's my Instagram. Yeah, feel free to reach out to me, man. We do great business out here.
Awesome, awesome, man. With that being said, man, I'm Joey, the creator of Joey Bags Recovery. I love you. God loves you. Remember to pray. Peace.